Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to part 6 of my end of season waffle series, where I give just a few of my thoughts on how each team and driver got on in 2022, and today I'm covering McLaren. It wasn't the easiest start to the year for McLaren. I mean, back in Bahrain, they were well off the pace and there were some serious concerns about their brakes, but they eventually found a fix and did find much better form as well. I've got to say, though, I was expecting so much more from them, and although that car wasn't the easiest to drive at times, I can't help but feel if Daniel Ricciardo had been anywhere near his teammate this year, McLaren could have been well clear in P4 in the standings given Alpine struggles with reliability. And yes, I know, you can absolutely argue that the other way, but my point is they had an opportunity to take advantage of those problems but failed to do so on one side of the garage. Then again, Lando Norris has said the team as a whole did not do a good enough job, and that was down to the car they had. He also said he felt 5th was the maximum they deserved this year, but they were only 14 points off P4 in the end, so I still think my point kind of stands. But either way, I don't really know what else to say on the team as a whole. They were in a fight with Alpine for much of the season and were consistently picking up points. It just obviously wasn't enough to snatch the best of the rest title, but despite some of their struggles and their disappointment, it's not been totally horrendous for them. Still work to do though. As for the drivers, Lando Norris was by far the best of the two of them, and it is not even remotely close. Sure, we didn't see quite so many of those big results we've seen in other seasons, but he's extracted the maximum from that car most weekends and managed to score consistent points throughout the season. In fact, he only failed to score 5 times all year, and 2 of those were because of DNFs, 1 crash and 1 mechanical issue. That is seriously strong stuff. And despite arguably having the inferior car in terms of outright pace for most of the year, he did a cracking job taking the fight to Alpine. His averages for the season are really good as well, with his qualifying position averaging out at 8 and his average finish coming in at 7.8. He also managed to pick up 5.3 points per race, again on average, for a total of 122 points to take P7 in the Drivers' Championship, ultimately ending the year ahead of both of the Alpines. He also obliterated his teammate in the head-to-heads, 22 in qualifying for goodness sake, scored 85 more points and even managed a podium at Imola, the only driver outside the top 3 teams to do so. What a season from Lando again. As I touched on there, though, it was completely different on the other side of the garage as Daniel Ricciardo struggled again. I don't know what to say, really, I don't. Just such a poor and disappointing season. 7 points finishes all year, 8 if we include his 6th place finish in the Imola sprint, and just 37 points on the board is simply not good enough, especially given how tight that fight was with Alpine. He just never got to grips with the car, and quite frankly, McLaren had to let him go. It's crazy, really, just how much he's fallen away over the last couple of seasons, and he now finds himself as 3rd driver at the team he left for Renault in 2019. A sign perhaps he should never have left. I totally get why he chose to, by the way, and it probably was worth a gamble at the time, but with the benefit of several years of hindsight, maybe not. Back to 2022, though, and his averages for the year are very poor, especially when compared to his teammate. He averaged 12.1 in qualifying and 11.6 in the races, and his average for points per race is just 1.5. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of positives, because it wasn't all completely awful for Ricciardo. Overall, not great, but there were some high points. For example, his best result came at Singapore, where he took P5 after the team took advantage of a safety car. And whilst I'm sure some of you can find other examples, another one I wanted to point out was his late comeback in Mexico, where he made his way back through the field after hitting Yuki Tsunoda to take P7, even pulling enough of a gap to those behind to counter his 10-second time penalty. Great comeback, some great overtaking. It's just a shame he had to wipe out Tsunoda to get the opportunity to do it. But all that said, it has still been a very poor year for Ricciardo. Overall, then, not a bad season for McLaren. Not great, but not bad. And as I said earlier, 2 consistently performing and point-scoring drivers could have given them that 4th place in the standings. That's all shoulda, woulda, coulda, though. The old, if my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bike thing. But you get my point. For me, though, I just expected a lot more from the team, and we didn't really get to see that. Hopefully they'll improve next year, though, because it would be a shame if those overall improvements we've seen over the last few years stagnated, and this is where they stayed in a constant battle for best of the rest. It was a really fun season-long fight, though, wasn't it, between them and Alpine? At least for the neutral. On the driver's side, not much to add or summarise, really. Norris was great again, and yes, this is a conversation for another day, but how long will he give McLaren before he starts looking for a race-winning, title-contending car? He needs them to take a step forward next year. And Ricciardo, well, I'm glad he's taking some time away from racing in F1, and I hope he's able to get himself together and rediscover some confidence and form. Tough to do as a 3rd driver, but still, opportunities will be there, because I really do think the old Danny Ric is in there somewhere, and if, and it is a big if right now, he does come back to F1, I want to see that dive-bombing, super quick Aussie back at his absolute best. That is it for this one then, but you can let me know how you think McLaren got on in 2022 in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back soon with another video, but in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel in its battle with the YouTube algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.